Are you speaking out right now in part because you hope Brittney Griner hears you and feels your camaraderie?
That's probably the biggest reason that I'm here. I think it's what gave me the courage to do something like this. I know what she's going through. I see the videos of her and I'm like, oh, I know that courtroom.
Naama Issachar grew up in New Jersey and moved to Israel as a teen. In 2019, she backpacked through India and had a layover in Moscow on her way home.
I had landed in Moscow, spent those hours, going to the duty free and, I don't know, getting coffee and eating at Burger King.
You're about to get on your plane.
Yeah, finally I'm like, oh, finally I can walk to the gate. So I gave them, my boarding pass with my passport and they scanned it. And then, the guy just said, Naama Issachar? And I was like, yeah. And they said, oh, go with him.
She says she was pulled from the boarding line, taken to a room where authorities searched her checked backpack and found 1/3 of an ounce of cannabis.
I was like, where did that come from? There was no point that I was like, oh no, they found it. I didn't know it was in my bag.
It's possible that you had it, but you didn't mean to travel with
No,
it.
I wasn't saying, oh, it wasn't mine, they put it in my bag. But it was never intentional. There was never a time that I knew it was in my bag. There wasn't a time that I...
You accidentally had it in this fanny pack.
It was there, purely accident.
Speaking no Russian, she barely understood what was happening.
What is it like to be arrested and charged in the system in Russia?
It's a bit terrifying because they don't tell you anything. I find it insane that I was detained for almost a full day without actually being told you are under arrest.
She was charged with possession and later trafficking. Over the next 10 months, Issachar was held in cells with up to 40 other women.
What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like?
Steel. It's loud. It's a lot of just clanking and keys turning, a lot of chit chat. They don't provide you with anything besides food. They don't provide you with toilet paper or feminine, hygiene products.
Her mother would bring her supplies and was allowed to visit only a few times.
You wake up at 6, you go to bed at 10, always. Lights are on at 6, you have to get up, you have to make your bed immediately. Breakfast is sometime around 6:30 to 7:30. They'll start passing it around. They bring it through a hatch in the door. Lunch is somewhere, between 12 and 1:30, and dinner is anywhere between 6 to 7:30.
And in between all of that, you're sitting there?
You're in the cell. One of the rights that all prisoners have are an hour of, they call physical activity. Most days they will take you out, but it's just to an outdoor cell.
When she went to trial, she was in a facility believed to be the same one Brittney Griner is in now. 1 hour a day, they were taken to a cell with an open-air roof.
So you're looking up and you can see blue sky?
Yeah, or gray.
There's no walking around outdoors?
No, you walk around in circles in that small cell.
You taught yourself Russian?
Yeah. Yeah, I started in the first few days, I started, basically writing a dictionary in my journal, all these words that I heard. Started telling people good morning, kind of also bon appetit in Russian, all those words. Then I would hear things up. So what is that? What is that? What is that?
By the end, you spoke pretty good Russian.
I know how to read.
And you spoke not a word going in?
No.
She kept a journal filled with positive thoughts.
I was able to go back when I was feeling really anxious or really sad. So I would just look in my journal and I would see all the optimistic things that I wrote inside. I'm like, oh, see, it's not that bad. It can't be that bad. If you write it, then maybe it happens, or maybe you believe it. And then I saw that it was helping me.
She prayed a lot, meditated, often thinking about what she'd do when she got out.
I can't wait to sit with my mom and get a coffee and walk around the park. And I was thinking of all these, showering barefoot. It's stuff that I didn't, turning on a light switch.
As a former sniper in the Israeli army, she says she wasn't scared and was never abused. Issachar heard talk she might be part of a prisoner exchange for a Russian who was jailed in Israel. She was sentenced to 7.5 years.
Do you remember the moment?
There was just a gasp. It was everyone was I remember I was like, oh my God. But my thought was what a lie. What a lie. I'm not going to be here for 7.5 years.
Why did you think that?
I knew that it made no sense whatsoever. I knew that this was a complete game. I've seen that judge many times at that point, And I knew that he was being told to say things.
You think the Russian government was telling them what to do?
I think so.
Looking back on it now, do you think you were a
Yes.
political pawn?
Yes. Yes. Hands down.
You were being used by various governments.
Right.
In January of 2020, Vladimir Putin traveled to Israel and met Issachar's mother. Shortly after, he issued a pardon.
Why do you think you got out of jail?
The way I've trained myself to think is that it was my time. I like to think that I was supposed to be released after 10 months just as much as I was supposed to be sitting there in the first place. Things happen. We don't really understand.
Do you say that like you believe in a higher power and you believe that
Kind of.
it was destiny?
Kind of. I learned that you really can't go against reality, right? This was my reality. I'm in jail. I could be like, oh, I don't want to talk to anyone, I don't want this, and I don't want that, but that's what it is. This is where I live now. So all I can do, right, is be the most respectful and the most compassionate and try to be that nice girl. And I was. By the time I left, I feel like I had a lot of respect from whether it was prisoners or prison guards or police or people of my courthouse. I was going to be nice. And that's why when I got out, I was just really proud of myself, because I think that also really helped me thinking of a way to just be a better person.
If you could talk to Brittney Griner right now, what would you tell her?
Just to be good, first of all, to herself. Try to see things in a light that won't make things worse for you, if possible. That's the only way I found it easier for me to live in that way when I was keeping my sanity, and I actually felt really strong, was to separate the system, the reason, that I was there, and the place that I'm in. I separated the large people in power deciding whether I'm there or not, and the people who I actually see on a day-to-day basis. I think that's why I was able to smile to the prison guards, say thank you, be grateful, pray, honestly, with my whole heart, thinking, wow, my life is so rich, so filled with love and compassion. I'm in Brooklyn now.
2 years later, she's living in New York, working for a music venue and finishing a book about her experience.
Did it change your life?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Heaven and earth.
She suspects Brittney Griner will experience something similar.
You're praying for her.
Oh, always.
Kate Snow, NBC News, New York.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.